Dear friends, in any case, I will start with the basic introduction and the disclaimer, and we are waiting for her to join in. As she joins in, we'll start an interview. We are sorry for the delay today. It's already 12 past. I've always started at 12. Uh, so I think she's signed in. Just a second. So we will be speaking, as I said, let me begin with the disclaimer in the meantime, while Blossom connects, and then we have her with us in another second. She has joined in the room, so we'll get her on live in a few seconds. As a disclaimer, we are observing all the norms and prescriptions advised by the Ministry of Home Affairs. Good to welcome you, Blossom. Just a second, I'll unmute you.
Okay, you cannot unmute yourself as host. Okay, that's fine. Okay.
Very well. Good. Namaskar. How are you? Good.
Hi.
So for the technical glitch, we're starting this. So I will start with the disclaimer and then a brief introduction, and then I will pass on the floor to you when I begin with the questions. So just give me a minute or two.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. That's fine. Fine.
It's a pleasure to welcome Dr. Blossom Kochhar. In any case, most of you would know who she is and the contributions she has made to India and to the world. But let me just, as I was saying, begin with the disclaimer. I am Professor Aman Agarwal from Indian Institute of Finance. This session is being recorded, and we are observing all the norms advised by the Ministry of Home Affairs in terms of conducting online meetings and webinars. The sessions are completely free for everyone to attend from across the globe, and we are happy that almost over 14 nations representatives have been visiting the webinars to attend, including from the US, Malaysia, Japan, Uzbekistan, Indonesia, Africa, Finland, Spain, Germany, France, UK, and various others. If I miss out some nation, I'm sorry, Sri Lanka as well, Bangladesh. So in any case, we are focusing on the topic of essence of life and growth. We will be having Blossom on the spotlight while we ask her the questions. Anyone who wants to raise a question can raise their hands, and I will be taking their questions at the end of the session to be placed before Dr. Blossom Kochhar, where she will respond to your queries. But in the initial phase, I will request everybody to keep their mics as well as videos off as one of the requirements. And in case you do not do so, then the cyber head who has been made responsible would turn you off the room. And so it is requested that everybody keeps their video and audios off while we are in the session. As I said, I will be moving on now. We have had a large number of personalities. I've interviewed almost about 20 plus people, which includes people like Hollywood actresses, people from the finance, diplomats, politicians, heads of chambers, and former diplomats of India, from UAE, from US, from Sweden, and various countries. And I have lined up another 8-10 people from across the globe to be speaking on this forum going ahead. Today, as I said, we are discussing on the essence of life and growth. Dr. Blossom Kochhar, I have known her for quite some time, and in fact, I came to know, I knew her, but then I did not know her prominence till my wife saw one photograph of mine with her, and then she said that, how do you know her? I said, I've known her for a long time, but I didn't know. And then she explained to me who Blossom Kochhar was and what it meant to women in this country. And then I was amazed, that it's like that one has a Kohinoor with one and then one doesn't know about it. It's like that hidden story of the story which is there. We have famous in India that there is a particular fragrance with the hiran which she had, hiran which is an animal, a deer, especially which has, and they keeps looking all around. So we have had the pleasure of being in touch, knowing each other, but then I did not know so much about her till I learned that day from my wife. That was very recent, almost about a year and a half back. And she, in fact, and then I, learned a little bit more about her. She's a dynamic person. She has not only motivated people, women. She has been a pillar for many women, motivated them, inspired them. She has made a lot of people happy from what she does. as a beauty therapist, as a person who has started this group on Aroma Magic. Then she runs a school educating young women, young people to go up in their lives, become entrepreneurs, lead their lives comfortably, not looking at the fact what they come from, what backgrounds they do. And I think her group of companies has been doing a wonderful job. Apart from being an entrepreneur, which is important, earlier I remember the terms became businesswomen used to be more famous. I don't know what she likes to be called, but at least for me, she has done the magic for women. And women look at her with inspiration, with respect, as an idol. She has been a philanthropist. She's done a lot of activities, philanthropic activities. She has, in fact, I learned about these facts recently only. She's been a golfer, she does yoga, and she's also a Kathak dancer, which I forgot to mention in the announcement which I did. I have not seen her performances, but I would hope if she does have, or she's put some videos of past Kathak performances, because I have a fascination for Indian classical dance, and wherever I get an opportunity, I never miss classical dance or a music performance. And the Sangeet Natya Academy had been inviting me for almost over 2 decades now, and I tend to attend all their programs when they have the awardees, because these awardees they get the lifetime achievement awards, and she has been getting large number of achievement awards for her contribution to make people happy, to make people successful, because the way you look, the way you deal with things is a very important component of what makes you and how happiness can bloom in one's personal life. She's also, I was amazed, she's also learned Reiki, panic healing, large number of therapies. It's amazing the way she has grown and developed herself, and now is empowering people to develop themselves and the rest of the world with the beauty therapies. Just that brief introduction. It's been 35 years she has been in business. It's not today's time when you get government support. It's not today's time when women are being motivated to come forward. Large number of peripheral areas are there where they support women. She has been there, although I have had my women in my family who have been working almost for 100, 150 years now. But then I salute all of them, because they were difficult times. It's been difficult when she grew up. She made herself a position in the industry. It was difficult because the industries had large tycoons sitting there. And it is difficult to emerge, and she made it through. And she is a person who has evolved, an evolutionist in terms of doing these things. Just with that brief introduction, I don't want to stand before you all and Blossom. I will be moving my focus to Blossom now, and then we will begin the interview. Blossom, just a second, and we would now go to you. Yes, Blossom, we would, before we begin on the topic which we have today, which I discussed with you, outline the positivity in life, the talk about the growth and the essence of life, I would appreciate if you could, throw a few seconds into an insight of your own life, that how you have built, how you have grown for the interest of people and large number of women who are our audience today as well.
Yeah. Thank you, Aman. It's wonderful to be on your show. And I must say one thing, it's a very inspiring one, what you've been doing and interviewing all the people. And really, I think it's very, very inspiring, and it's definitely needed at this time. And I love listening to the whole thing and all the people that are there. It's really very, very nice. Now, to tell you a little bit, and I'm so happy that your wife told you about me. That's very nice. And it's really very nice. I really like that a lot. Now, to answer what I've been doing and how to come into this, actually, I had done my college and everything. And this, at the moment, the hair, the beauty, the wellness industry at that time wasn't a job. There was no jobs like that. It wasn't considered something that we could go into. And my parents, of course, wouldn't let me go into that. And instead of that, they said, okay, you can study, you can do this as a beauty, you can just do this like making people beautiful. So for me, this was something, I love this, because for me, it was like a creative thing. It was, for me, the human form was a canvas for a work of art. So I used to love to, do their hair, to do their skin, to make them look good. So that is how I had started with it. But of course, I only went into it as a profession, and that also first as a hobby. my husband. My husband moved to Staff College. I married. He was in the army, an army officer, and he had gone to Staff College to start up. And that's where really I had started my career a long time ago. And at that time, only Shanaz was on the scene. And then I had come into that thing. And at that time, when we had to use like cosmetics on the skin, there was no cosmetics really. We had to use, like I would use, there was only Charmis cream and cold cream. And I knew that can't make a person, who has a problem. Because at that time, I knew they needed something. It had to do with the body, mind, emotions, because that is really what makes a person. Like, I can't just put a cream on their face and that wouldn't do. And I was very lucky. He was posted in Wellington. And there we had a lot of oils from these plants, like eucalyptus and lavender and other things. So I had, in fact, before that, I was in a boarding in Nazareth Convent, Ooty. And that's when I came across these oils for the first time. Like when we had a cold, the nuns would not give us any kind of, they wouldn't give us any medicine. They would give us eucalyptus oil to smell and put it under our pillow. And when we had exams, they would give us lavender and lemon verbena to smell so that we would calm down. So I had this inkling of what I used to use. And so I used these oils that were available there in the creams, and I used it on the clients. And there it was that the clients were really happy. Their skin would glow, and they would really come out and then tell me that, my cold has gone, or I'm feeling better. I was feeling depressed. And that is really how I started with Ayurveda and aromatherapy, because aromatherapy is a branch of Ayurveda. In fact, you'll find it in the Rasayana Tantra, that's the Veda of rejuvenation, and the Vajrakaran Tantra, that is the Veda of aphrodisiacs. But of course, I used it in the Rasayana Tantra, the Veda of rejuvenation. And so that is how I studied, and then, of course, went abroad and did, then I started this little salon. So then I went abroad, and then I had to do further studies. And in Paris, I went there, and there was a course going called aromatherapy. So I wondered what it was. So I went into that and I enrolled. And I found that that was just what we were doing, that I was doing all the time, and it was aromatherapy. So that's how I really stepped into it and started it. And it's really wonderful. And of course, it has grown. From there, it went on. And I came to Delhi from Wellington. And again, I found a lady who had a place and I didn't, and I had the knowledge. So we both got together and we opened a Blossom Beauty Corner. And that's where we started the whole beauty. Now, aromatherapy, you could go into three ways. It could go into for the mind, because it helps depression. It helps, it helps depression. It helps if you're too hyper, and if you're too feeling not so great, anxiety. And the other one, it also helps any stress-related diseases, like if you have any aches and pains, and if you have spondylosis, arthritis, any hormonal problems, it would help that, but nothing in distress. And of course, the other was for beauty. Now, I found it easier to go through beauty, because through beauty, what would happen is you could not only do it goes through your face, also it will work through your sense of smell, and it will make you really beautiful. So that is how I had started it. And of course, it took a whole lot of marketing and others, because aromatherapy was not known. And I'll never forget, I opened my first salon opposite the Taj over here, when I opened the aromatherapy salon over here. And we called it Aromatherapy Bar Hair and Beauty Salon. And I found so many men coming. They thought it was a bar. So then we had to stop that. And then I had to go in and put it as a hair and beauty salon. And so I went in via the beauty field. And it has been really wonderful, because it helps completely. Because beauty for me is just holistic. Everything has to work. Because if everything works together, you're not going to need so much of makeup and so much of other stuff. And life is really beautiful because your emotions are the main thing that have to play a part in it.
True. No, I fully agree with you. Life is truly beautiful, and one must cherish every moment and every aspect of it
Yeah,
they can. And beauty is an important factor because that builds in that confidence and grows you out from inside. And when you look outside and you see better, then you're more confident and more happier at the end of the day. You mentioned of Shenaz, an old friend of yours. Did not know this aspect which you mentioned, that your husband did help you in the beginning to get it up, and he has been supportive of your happiness going forward in this area. And
absolutely.
very
I had to
important.
prove it to him, of course, and that went on. Yeah.
We always keep hearing that there is a woman behind the success of a man, but both with Shenaz as well as you, I knew about Shenaz, I knew her family, so I have known that the way her husband also supported her in getting up her venture, going through and creating the market. So that's where I think it's another success story where I see here is that happiness is being built for both of them, and that a man is
Oh,
there because internationally,
it's
unfortunately, the news about women being treated badly in India is so badly spread, as if they are cowed down. And some of the articles which are written, research papers which have been written by some Indian authors also, researchers based in the UK and all, say it's so bad that the world feels that it's like women are treated like animals in India. And that's what I've got responses for when I travel internationally in the past. But I'm happy when people like you come forth and present the face of a woman in India and show and inspire so many of us.
Yeah, because it is important. I really feel a man, like my husband was a very, very big part of it. And taking your family, you take your family with you, where it's really a lot. And if they support you, there's nothing like it. And my husband has been a wonderful support, and my daughter and my grandson, the whole family. And I always believe it has to be a family thing, and it will really work.
True, true. So we get on to our topic, although we are not digressing, because what you were talking about beauty and the way life you grew up is all about happiness and living life and growth.
Yes.
So we begin with that. So, but I will now, since we have had over 35, 40 years of work experience, and the reason I started this was that in a span of about 30 to 40 years or 50 years, one is able to see ups and downs
Oh,
in
yeah.
personal life, in environments, in economic environments, domestic and international environments. And from there, I wanted people to come up with what have they developed as perceptions of life and growth. So in your opinion, what would be the key factors which you feel are the essentials for life and growth?
For the essentials for life, really, you have one thing is happiness, and nobody can make you happy. You have to make your own self happy. That is very important, because if you are happy, you're going to make your family happy, you're going to make people happy, you're going to make everything happy. And you can't look for happiness outside. You have to look inside for happiness. Make yourself, happy. Another thing is positivity. You have to be positive, because if you're positive, you find nothing can get you down. You have to be positive. If this is not working, something else is going to working, and it's going to be. So positivity, happiness, and positivity, these are these are very important. Next is, if you want to do something, you have to have this passion for living, passion for life, passion for whatever you do, because passion is really what can get you anything. Even in work, passion is what is needed. And I always say to everyone, all the ladies I meet, all the people that if you have this passion to do something, nothing can stop you. If you can't go to a wall like this, you would go around the wall. So passion is another thing that is very important in life. And of course, loving people, that is a very important thing. Love, just, not love for just another man or your husband or anything, but unconditional love. Just love everything. Love your life, love the world, love the people. I tell you, that is going to get you through everything that is there. So these are things that are really, needed in life. And gratitude. That is the most important. Like I always say when I wake up, and I have to say for 5 things that I'm grateful for, and it really helps. You got to say, you have to have gratitude, because gratitude is going to make you feel so good. You're going to attract whatever you want. You don't need to have any courses or anything. You just have to say thank you. And really, when we look around us, we can say thank you. Thank you for so many things that are there in life. And if we can just say thank you, that is going to take us. So we have gratitude, we have happiness. Happiness is going to be their passion, positivity, and this will to love and love. Love is important. So you've got to really start with loving yourself, loving everyone, loving a puppy, loving the world. And I think that is going to take you a lot, and everywhere, for every part of your life. It's going to take you in your family life, in your emotional life, economy also. Even it's going to take you in your work. It is going to take you, and that positivity and that thank and that gratitude is going to help you great.
I fully endorse your view. And in fact, from what you said before and now, something which came to my mind again, what I read a few days back, was invest in yourself to induce growth, happy living. So that is something which comes out very strong. But I was also read, and maybe I like a thought on that. Someone said, don't go through life, grow through life.
Oh yes, that is so true. Just don't grow. You have to grow, because every day is changing, and you have to adapt to the change. And you can adapt to the change by growing. It is really, we have to grow in life. It's very, very important. I love that saying, grow through life. Very nice.
Yes. The other thing which I was wanting to ask was, you built up a large segment. There's a multiplier effect. You're contributing to people's life every day. Your setup which you have created is contributing to people's life every day. And we see that, the MSME and the others face a lot of difficulty, especially when it comes to human capital resources. So in your opinion, and since you have these thoughts about love and investing in yourself and talking about passion, how do you think one can enhance human capital to understand and benefit from the essence of life?
How to enhance? One thing is, we have to you have to really look after the people you're working with. Now we have a thing, we have to look after them. We have to see that they're happy. And this is one thing I really believe in my whole company. We have to take the trouble to know everybody. Maybe there are a whole lot, but keep in touch with everyone. Find out about everyone. Find out about their families. Find out about how they are living, how they are going through. And that is a very, very important thing I find that when we do. And really get to meet them and know them. Because that is because they are working for you. That's what I feel, they're working for me. I have to get to know them. So one is keep in touch with the people you're working with, and that is going to really help. And of course, we have to really go across and help those, because there are so many that are having a whole lot of problems. And if we don't know them, we don't, treat them properly. So we have to go ahead and find out about them and talk to each one. And that has helped me a great deal, not just in this, also in in the other part of my business with people who come into my salons. Like when I started with salons, and I always feel that those who came into my salons, this was one rule that, I really followed. And I tell everyone also when I'm teaching and talking to them, treat everyone that you're treating as though they were $1 million, giving you $1 million for whatever they are asking, whatever service that you're giving them. And how would you treat them? And that makes them feel so great that they really will come back. And this is a story I'm going to tell you. It's a wonderful story. This was when I was studying in Canada for my hairdressing and beauty. And what used to happen in that place, when we used to study, we had classes. And at the same time, since this is a very practical kind of a job, we had to do also about clients, so we had to get clients. So this was a difficult thing. So we used to all sit outside the school, and people going past, we give them our little cards. to get them in so that we could do. And we used to notice one lady who was always going past, and she never had time, and she was always busy, and she definitely needed to, get a little bit of pampering. We used to ask her, she said, I have no time. One day she walked into the academy that we were there, and we were so happy. We said, okay. So she said, you can do whatever you want with my hair, do anything you want. So one of us cut her hair, the other did a little facial, the other put some makeup on her, and the other put some, little, what should I say, did her nails and everything else. And then she went out. The next day, what happened? And then, of course, she asked us paying. We said, oh, no, don't pay any money. This is an academy. This is our practical, and you really helped us, and thank you. And we got her tea, and we asked her about herself, and she talked. So she went out from there. And the next day, we got a big bouquet of flowers and a note saying, thank you. You saved my life. To all of us. She said, thank you. You all saved my life. She said, I was on my way to commit suicide because, she said, I lost my job, I lost my children to my husband, and I had nothing to live for. So when I walked past this, I said, oh, before I go and do anything, let me just see what these people are asking me. They want to do my hair. So she came in, and she said, and as I walked out, she said, you all made me feel so good. And when I walked out, she said, right down 2 shops away, there was this notice saying, we want a person, to help us. So she had gone in and she got the job, and she was so happy. So this is what I say, it is something that we really have to look around us and see what we can do.
Sure. No, that's very inspiring. And I think you saved the day. It must have been a incredible achievement, which you must have felt, saving a human life is a very big thing. Good for it. Blossom live through uncertainties. When I look at it from an economic perspective, I'm an economics guy, I'm not a social person, not from other streams. But when I look at it, uncertainty, I see uncertainties has been there for decades. It's not something new. It has always been something that is always uncertain. So when you have been an entrepreneur, you have been risk-taking, you had supporting hand, but still you took the risk, you built upon it, and you took that chance. How do you go about celebrating life?
Celebrating life?
Life, yes.
How do I go about celebrating life? That one thing is that, I found that every small achievement you have to celebrate. Then what happens? You're going to really make life a celebration, So everything. But because we do face hardships, we do face things where we have to take a risk. Sometimes the risks work, sometimes they don't work. But when they work, we have to really celebrate, and be happy. So how do we celebrate? I really normally celebrate with my family, because that is something, because it involves the whole lot of them. And the other, you can celebrate like that. Anyway, you can, but you have to celebrate even the smallest things that you've taken. But taking a risk is an important thing. And of course, and economy, of course, these are certain things that you have to be a little careful. You have to really see how you can manage. And the other one that I find is that we have to keep on, like if a thing doesn't work this way, we have to see if it's going to work the other way or work the other way. And maybe that was one of the reasons that I also took up so many different courses that there are, And even now, like I take up, like we have this lockdown, and there's no point in, like I feel there's no point in just sitting and saying, oh, I have to start this and I can't do this and I have to do that, because that is not going to really get me anywhere. We have to wait this out. So the best thing I found is doing different courses, trying to see how we can, change things around, take a few more risks, and see how we can get this whole thing working. Because by just sitting and worrying, it doesn't work. So we have to really go about and everything. And whenever I do something that is thing, then it becomes a celebration. So I celebrate normally. I just laugh, talk, dance, and the main thing is say thank you and feel happy, but you have to celebrate. And the other thing is, before the lockdown, if I can't, how I used to celebrate by going out and having a coffee or taking a walk in, say, Lodi Gardens and, enjoying nature and doing something simple. You don't need to do something exotic, but you can do something really simple. And and make it as a celebration. Because I think celebrating your success, celebrating your happiness is very important to keep us, in the correct perspective and focused on the correct direction.
Sure. I also read the other day in the speaking tree that spirituality helps, positivity gets inspired by spirituality. So, and they said that spirituality, and spirituality helps walk the talk and recalibrate the right responses to difficult situations. So if you maybe could quote something from your life where you feel that spirituality did bring in that positivity and help to walk the talk and help you come over difficult situations.
Now, spirituality, I think, is the most important thing. We need to have that spirituality. We need to have to know that we have, that there is somebody after us. We do need to have that in us so that we can, go forward. That is very, very important. And I find that spirituality, maybe it's ingrained from the parents or the grandparents into us. And that makes it wonderful. So, and how to walk. And of course, spirituality helped me in many things in my life. Like I remember I lost my sister and she's much younger than me. Then I lost my parents and, and then I lost my husband. And then, of course, I was okay with my parents and I was able to get back after a little while. But when I lost my husband, it was like losing a complete, pillar and everything. It was something devastating, honestly. But because of this, I tell you, because of the spirituality, this thing that kept me going, that told me that you will come out of it. There is a light at the end of a tunnel. It can't be like this. It was something it took me some time, of course, to come out, but it kept me going. This is what really kept me going, that I could come out of it. And that's where I say spirituality. And any problem that happens, I say it's not going to last forever. You will get your bad times, you get your good times. And your good times are fantastic, enjoy it, but you have to also know that the bad times are there, but they won't last. They will have to think. And if you have faith, honestly, faith in something, in spirituality, in this, you can get through. That's where meditation, I think, there's a great deal. At least it helped me a lot. Meditation helps, and believing that, there is someone. I always believe in this, that whatever happens to you happens with a reason and happens for the best. At that time, you can't think what is the best, but it has happened and it is God. I mean, the universe knows what is the best for you. Maybe it wasn't good at that time. Maybe there was something at that time. And there is always light at the end of a tunnel. And that's really what has got me through. And got me back, made me into this. And it's wonderful, really. This is what really gets you going. Your faith, your spirituality, and you've got to have it. If you don't have something to cling to, that's really, I feel sad, and I'd love to tell everyone, there is a reason for anything that's happening, and there is a good reason for whatever happens, and something good will come out. That is what I always believe, and it is helpful.
No, I agree with you. In fact, the next question which I wanted to ask did talk about what you already discussed partly, but I still would like to ask the other part. Since you come from Ayurveda, you learned the sciences of Ayurveda, you appreciated it, you built upon it, and then you had this inherent Kathak as a dance, and then even as a golfer, you have developed, because golf requires a lot of patience, lot of self-searching, understanding it. It's a slow thing, so you need to develop it slowly. So how do you see, the soul consciousness or the spiritual wisdom, and in any case, meditation, which you talked about, contributing to life and growth?
Actually, meditation really, everybody feel, you know, when we used to talk before meditation, and they used to think it's one spiritual thing, or, you know, it was something that was religious or spiritual. But meditation is something that is there. One is, of course, you have different forms of meditation. Actually, you can go through your life meditating right through, like even golf, you know. Golf is actually a meditation, honestly. When you play golf, if you are very stressed or thing, you will see you'll be hitting the ball everywhere around the place. But you have to be relaxed. You have to, and your swing has to be relaxed, and you'll find that it is going. It is going. That is one of the reasons for golf being so wonderful. And then for sitting down, anything you do in life, once you start with this meditation, anything you do, you can make it a meditation. You know, what is meditation? Just clearing your mind, and it's like a focus. And this is how meditation makes you more focused. This is what I find. It makes you more focused. It makes you gives you the correct decision. Like, I know if I have to make a decision about something, I love to go in quietly and just relax my mind, and you will find I get my answer for what I want and what kind of a decision I think it's increasing. You can do any form is a meditation. I feel anything. You can, even a person when you're cooking is a meditation. Dancing is a meditation, definitely, because you're only on dancing and you're forgetting everything else. Music is a meditation. So for me, all these things I've been doing, they are like meditations, and they help me in my work. One thing I found, that by working creatively, you also can concentrate, and it helps you, you know, in your this. So you have to, I always tell everyone who's going through it, you know, their one side of their brain and just logical, please just shift a little to the creative. You will find that it's going to help you to do it. So you have to relax, which is very important, and meditate, and it helps focusing on business. It helps focusing on everything.
True. No, I fully agree. How do you see life growing up or shaping up in the next 6 months to a year? With Sunset City now been going on for almost a year, with slowdown, with trade, international, national issues coming up. But, you know, having lived life for so many decades and having seen all colors of movements, ups and downs, how do you see next 6 months to a year coming up?
Now, one thing is, what has happened to us right now is something, it's like we've never seen anything like this before, you know. It is really global, and this has really brought to us that we are global. The whole world is global. Everything is global. And, but now what has happened is, like, we are all, you know, we have this kind of thing that it's like we have a herd kind of this thing like we have. And what is happening is, when it's going to open now for the next 6 months, I feel because of what has happened and because of this pandemic, everything is slowed down even more, much more. And people are afraid also. They are afraid to go. They're afraid not just for their economic, they're afraid for their economic, they're afraid for their lives, they're afraid for illness, they're afraid for their children. There's a lot of fear factor in that. And what I can see is that people will go back slowly. They have to, like, definitely, we have to open things, we have to start our work, because it has to be there. We have to have it. But people are going to go back a little slower. They're going to be more cautious. And so for the next 6 months, it's going to be slow, but it's going to definitely, we have to start it's being like limping back, you know, as though we've had a terrible illness, and now we're trying to limp back into the thing, which is definitely going to happen. And the next year, it'll take a year and over a year for us to really get the whole thing like working again. But it is going to get back. It has to get back, and it's going to get back even better. Maybe after a year, you'll find that everything is going to be much, much better, because people in this whole pandemic, when they've stayed at home, they've changed. I can tell you they've changed. It's going to be a new kind of normal, and they're going to start getting used to change, because everything changes and they're going to get used to change. So we are going to, it's going to take a little time, but it's going to get back, definitely. And it's going to get back even better.
True. We saw a huge rush come up when the lockdown was partially opened up a couple of days back, and alcohol shops were opened up. We are expecting to see, at least I am going to see, that the beauty aspect is also the same charm. And with your, outlets all over the country and everywhere, and even others who are in this particular area of functionality, people are going to rush to them. So how do you think you're going to manage that kind of a influx which is going to come? Because it's going to be, beauty is as much a drug as an alcohol or a cigarette is people at large today. Not when you started the business, but as of today it is, especially in urban, and even some part of rural areas today.
Yeah, definitely we are going to, beauty is going to get back. And how we have to do it, of course, one thing is hygiene. Hygiene is the most important, which we will have to really work on for all the salons, not just for mine, but the whole industry. We'll have to work on hygiene, because we have to give that confidence to the people that, they can come in and have their work done. Then, and we'll also not have to work on hygiene for them, for us, but we'll have to work on hygiene even for the clients that are coming in, because this pandemic is going to stay for some time till they get us a vaccine. So we do have to, but we have to get back to work. So we do have to see that hygiene is going to be there. That is definite. And of course, the social distancing is definitely going to be there. And of course, it's going to bring, like when we used to cater to 8 people, we'll have to cater to 4. But we have spaced it out. So, and we'll have to see that we don't have so many staff that come in. If we have 10 staff, we'll only see that 5 will come in at one time and 5 will come in on the next day or something like that. So we'll have to see how we can space it out. And we have already, there's a lot of strategy being put in for this. So, and the main thing that I find to get your clients back is you have to build a trust. We have to, even now when it's closed down, we have to communicate with them. We have to show them that we are doing things. We have to really build a trust. This is when I say trust is very important. Build a trust. Communication is one of the most important things that we need to get your clients back and to get it. And of course, see that everything is very, very hygienic. Hygiene is something that has to be a number one. Hygiene, communication. This is what is mostly needed. So that will open. Of course, the schools, the teaching has already started going on net, online. So that is no problem. But what I find for teaching is those who are not very motivated, they can just, go away. So now we are looking at how we can put in more quizzes, more answers, more things, so that they, and make it more fun. So they'll want to, really come and do the studies that they are having with us. So the education has gone on that. The factory, of course, we've already gone into the hygiene and the e-commerce, which we've gone into, which is really, that is going to, even the FMCG, they are going to start, it's going to limp back a little, but it's going to be there. That is there. And what I see really is a lot of people doing a lot of work at home also. Like they'll go in for their essentials, but for like beauty for the face, it's not going to be there because, for some time, but later it will come. So, but hair is going to be really, that will go very well because nobody can cut their hair at home, or if they do, they'll make a mess. And then they also have the color, which they will have to do. So I think hair is the thing that's going to go. Maybe a massage, body massage, and manicures and pedicures. Not even manicures, but pedicures will be. But anything like the face, I think people will not come in right now, but maybe later they'll come. but we are just looking at everything and waiting for this whole thing to open, because one of the main things that has to open, because when it opens, then everything can work and we see. So we are really waiting for it to open. That's important for us.
Now, having known you and interacted with you, I see that happiness factor, the zeal factor, the passion factor in you. What is in your opinion, the success mantra for tomorrow for young people like me and others who are wanting to move into different spheres of life or even change their lives? Because there's always this thing which used to be discussed in the past, that a lot of people have this mid-40 crisis where they want to move into different areas. So what would you say would be the success mantra for tomorrow?
Success mantra. One is, of course, you have to skill. The skilling is the most important thing. We really have to go into different kind of skills, or in the same sphere, but different skill. So you have to really see and skill yourself, and education. Skilling and education is really, I think, for all youngsters, I believe it is very, very important to skill and to educate. So, and different spheres, never just take, one thing, because this is one thing I love to tell everyone every year, because I was told this by my mother and I followed it and it helped me a lot. Every year, do something new and learn something new. And it's never too late to learn. I mean, we should never think, oh, how are we going to learn this age or that? Never. Do your learning anytime. Learning is something, education, and learn something new. Now, if you're a finance person, so you could learn something very creative. You can play the djembe, or you can play the guitar, or learn to play the guitar or something. So those, and they complement. You'll be surprised. It will really help you complement you. Or can go into something in your own sphere, But now for the coming 6 months or 2 years, I really believe that everyone should diversify. Do something a little, diversify from what you're doing, so that if this is not working, that is working. So don't keep all your eggs in one basket. Put it in many baskets. That's what I feel.
True. No, I agree.
And have passion for whatever you want.
Yes. Very important. I have three more questions, in fact, before I open the house for questions from others. And I will request everybody to kindly raise their hands so that I can bring you in after I end my questions. 3 more questions. As I said, lately when we look, and in fact, it's been going for some time now, that when we see newspapers, media, all other sources, which are, public sources, even social media to a great extent now, this gets an idea of life being all about money and power. What's your opinion on that, and what message can you give there?
Life, money and power, that doesn't work at all. I mean, I can't say that doesn't work. Maybe it works for some, but I feel happiness is the most important thing. Because if you're happy, you can be successful. If you're happy, you can get money. Happiness is the number one priority. Now the money, I feel money, we have the present, it was that everyone, there was too much of emphasis on money. But does that bring happiness? Does that bring you any kind of peace of mind? That I would always like to ask anyone who feels like that. That is one. And even the power, does that bring you, does that bring you the peace of mind? Because when you sleep, if you're happy, if you got enough, just enough to manage, and if you're happy, you can sleep, you're healthy, you're everything, whatever amount of money or power you have. I mean, if you're not looking after yourself, you'll have health problems, you'll have everything. So I value happiness first, and then comes anything else. But money and power is not needed to be happy. Money and power is not needed to be healthy. Honestly, your emotions and how you feel, that is really what is important.
So, large number of governments are trying to do a lot of things to bring comforts to people's lives, and they have been doing it for decades now. It's not something now. Sometimes it's been jobs, sometimes unemployment, sometimes economic sluggishness, sometimes diseases. Every now and then there is something which troubles the governments, and they keep doing something or the other. What in your opinion, as a person who has lived life, who has seen life from a dance perspective, from a meditative perspective, spiritual person, a person who has created life and who is now sponsoring life in a way, because we say in economics there's a multiplier effect. When you, as an entrepreneur, you give jobs and they give jobs, and there is a multiplier effect which sets in. You end up feeding n number of families which go forward. You know, what in your opinion you think, as a person, as a human, what could the government do to induce happy living? Although they have tried to do an happiness index, because some of the countries, and Bhutan has tried to do it, UK has tried to do it, France has tried to do it. But what in your opinion can they do? What would be an advice to governments, not India, across the globe, what they could do to induce growth and, more important, happy living within people?
Okay. Now, to induce, one thing is, of course, they'll have to see that uh, all stratas of society, because though everyone, they need a certain amount of money to live also. That is very important. So government should see that they make a strategy that, there could be a lot of packages that they could give, maybe for those who are we have such a huge unorganized sector. Like you'll find those who are sweeping, those who are security, those who are others on the road, they all of them. So they should have a certain amount of, earning and money that they can live well. Well means they don't need to have everything, but they can just about live. They have to have the food to eat on their table, and the other things is their education and this, and they have to educate them. That is one. The other thing I believe is that the government has to just, they are needed to to put a strategy across to give them something. But happiness, I feel, the government really, nobody can give you happiness, So really, it has to come from inside. So as long as you've got food on your table to eat, you've got a job to do something, and they have to educate them also. I think education is an important part for the whole lot to learn. Whatever area you come from, you'll find when the people are educated, they seem to be in a happier state. But when they are not educated, that is another thing. That this is what I feel. They have to make a strategy to give them the food on their table with and the other thing is that they have to educate them.
Yes, true. The last question from me, and we open the house. I already see 5-6 people wanting to ask questions. What's your advice to the youth and the students, going forward? Not for now, for another 10, 15, 20 years, what should they do?
Okay, for the youth and the students to go forward, I believe something, they have to be educated. They have to be skilled, not just education is very important. So first, I always say education and take up a skill, because, these two things go together, because sometimes with an education, you also need to have a skill that goes through with it. Sometimes the education won't work, the skill will work, So they have to have a skill and education. The other is keep on learning, keep on educating yourself. Don't just stop. That is another thing that I say to all you. And find out what is it that you really would like to do in life. Sit for some time, meditate, find out what can I do? What do I want? Not what your parents want or somebody else wants. It's what the youngsters want. What do they want? And then go ahead and do it. Because if they do what they want and they have this passion to do what they want, you will find that they will really reach. Another last is never stop. Happens is we go on doing our work and we want to reach a certain goal, but you'll find that there will be many, and before they reach the goal, they just walk away. So that is the wrong thing. You have to remember that when go on till you reach your goal, because it may be just a step or two and you've just missed that because you've left it. So keep on going, keep on having a lot of faith and this and in the work, and that's going to get you. So you'll have to just educate and take a skill and learn things. That is very, very important.
True. Thank you, Blossom. And I see a couple of them who had come. I had a gentleman from Hungary who wanted to ask a question, but I think he's not in the room anymore. But then let me go to two other people. We have a person from Japan, Professor Junzo Watada. I see him here, just a second. And yes, so till Junzo comes in, let me open Dr. Poonam Sethi from oh, I see Junzo is here. So I will just, yes, Junzo, you can maybe, Professor Junzo Watada is from Japan, from Waseda University, and he is currently at Petronas University in Malaysia as the head of the department and an emeritus professor, full professor. I've known him for also 20 years and a very dear old friend. Junzo, please go ahead.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Blossom. The quite interesting and impressive talk for me. Yesterday, Dr. Alpi talked about the how can I say, landscape. Landscape includes shape, wind, light, also including smell. So I'm working on the aesthetic engineering. Aroma or smell are quite related to this, but not relating to my the research. But recalling my childhood, smell or aroma are quite relating to my memory. For example, when I visited some cities, all cities have different smell. It make me recall something my memory. So how the different such a smell in your life. Of course, now the aroma is your special job and education. But in your life, what kind of meaning did you have relating to some smell or aroma, relating to the city or relating to your environment?
Okay. For me, it was related to the people around me. Like, I'll never forget my mother. She used to make this lovely coffee, you know. So every time, whenever I went, and she used to make, she used to make this beautiful, you know, South Indian coffee. So whenever I went anywhere and I had this coffee, the smell of it, as soon as I smelled it, I would think of her, what she wore that day, how she was looking and how it was. So it brought back all the memories of my mother. So one was coffee and the other was jasmine. I went for a wedding, and at that wedding, there was so much of jasmine. It was beautiful. And then I looked at the bride, and she had all this jasmine, Indian bride, and she had all the jasmine. And after that, whenever I smell jasmine, I will just go right back to my childhood, to that wedding, and to the thing. So it has a big effect on the memory. And even till now, you will find that suddenly a smell, it will take me right back to, you know, where I was. So it wasn't the place so much as the people that I used to remember because of that.
Then
So
I would like to ask you two more questions. One is, what kind of meaning do you have relating to aroma or smell in your growth?
My growth
experience. Do you have some quite strong meaning in your growth? I mean, smell or aroma.
Yes. Now, the smell or the aroma, that is what really, you know, when I was in school, I was in a boarding, and when we got a cold, that's what they used to put this eucalyptus used to be put. And I used to always think of Now, whenever I smell eucalyptus, I think of the school, and when I had a cold in that infirmary over there, and I used to lie down and I used to say, oh, this is good. So I used to think of the school. The other one was when we have an exam. When I had an exam, they used to bring me a thing called lemon verbena and lavender, you know, and we didn't have the oil, but we used to have the plant. So they'll crush it up and they put it under the pillow. So I used to smell that even till today. Whenever I have to go somewhere, even when I have to talk today, I will put lavender on my hand and smell it. So it has a big, big effect. And now I'm going to tell you a little story of how this had an effect on one of my students. So, you know, I teach aroma therapy. So this student, she was one of the models, not a very big model, a simple model. So she had come and she, you know, she had married a very famous photographer. So this photographer used to travel all over the world with these beautiful models, and she used to get very jealous. So she come to, so one day we were doing an experiment. So we said, okay, you try this experiment. So we gave her the oil, we told her, you take an oil. So we gave her an oil, which was rose and jasmine, a mixed up oil, like a perfume. And we put it on paper, and we told her, when you're with him, you just keep using this oil, but don't fight. No fighting, no arguing, only using. So she did this for about 4 or 5 days. And then she came running full tears, and she said, oh my God, he's going away now and he's going with this model. So we said, don't worry, put this perfume on a paper and do his packing, break it up and put it everywhere, in his wallet, in his case, photography case, in his suitcase, everywhere put this paper. So she put the paper, and then she was crying. She says, nothing can happen. And believe it or not, wherever he went, as soon as he reached back, he rang her up. He who never used to ring her for 10 days at a time, rang her every day 5 times. I am thinking of you. I am thinking of you. Because each time he'll open the bag, he'll smell it, and then he will think of his wife. So that is what. So that is the power of smell that we have been working.
True. I would like to, thank you very much. I would like to ask the last question. Recalling my past, I like the perfume, not only for women, but also for men. In Malaysia, Islamic people used to use men use the perfume. And for example, you talked about the hygiene. When we consider food, we check the shape. If shape is changing, maybe the hygiene was not good. So color is quite important. But the most important is the smell. If we smell badly, maybe the food cannot be eaten. Then my question is, how do you intend to change the aroma or smell circumstance by education? So how do you educate people? Of course, you educate the meaning of the smell, but how do you change the circumstance or future? Would you like to explain?
How do I change the future with smell? Yeah, now smell is used in very different ways because it goes into the back, your hypothalamus, and it gets this thing over there. So it works on your motor organs, it works on a whole lot of stuff. So for the future, what we are working on smell is, we are working on smell with challenged people, so that, like, you know, when they get a smell, they will know what to do, because very often is, just say the hearing or something. And so I'm talking about my industry, which is hair and beauty. So what we do is we say, okay, we want a cut like this, like maybe like your cut. So what I do, I give a certain perfume to that. So when I do a perfume for that, it goes into the mind and says, this is what I have to do. So then he would do the cut. That is one we are working on. The other is for autistic children. So we kind of use an oil and we massage their, you know, their pressure points so that we can calm them down. So we are working on these essential oils to, for the future that we can, so that it can help them. But we can't, like if the smell, we can help them with the smell. Like we teach them what the smell is and what this will do and how it will help anxiety and it helps confidence. Like smell also helps confidence, like if a person is like just say when they get married in India, they use a lot of jasmine. Now it gives confidence. So when you are feeling not confident, you smell a little jasmine, you will think. So there are different oils. Lavender is used to calm the person down. So that is how we are using the oils for the smell. For treatment, we are using it for treatment so that it can work. Instead of giving them medicine inside pills, we can calm them and we can help them with the pill, the thing that is outside. That's how we are. There's a lot of research going on. In the future, there'll be much more.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Nice talk.
It was really wonderful. Thank you.
Go to the next question. I hope you have 10-15 minutes to spare more. Thank you very much. Yeah. Yes. So Blossom, we'll go to Dr. Poonam Sethi. She is a professor at University of Delhi at Hindu College, where I studied from. And I will request Poonam to kindly, raise her question. Dr. Poonam.
Yeah, hello, Madam Kochhar. Can you hear me?
Yeah, Poonam, wonderful to see you. Yeah.
It's such a pleasure to listen to you. And all these years, we have been using your products without actually understanding how much of research goes into it, every product that you are selling. And the way when we go to the market, the diversity that is available, and sometimes, we are spoiled for choice. But I now can see that every product is made with a, special purpose. It's really been, wonderful listening to you, how, these aromas work and how they work on our motor neurons and all these things. So definitely, I would also like to congratulate Professor Aman for bringing you on board, because this is, otherwise, it is something which would have been impossible. At least I would not have ever really sat and listened to Blossom Kochhar, thinking that, oh yes, she would be talking about beauty products and all that. But then listening to you was really, enlightening. So one thing that did cross my mind, while I was listening to you, and I could clearly see that you are not just an entrepreneur, you have done your work so well all these years and established yourself, and you are yourself a doyen of your industry. So there are certain, contradictions which are just crossing my mind. So probably you can answer them very well, and partly you've already answered them when you were responding to Professor Jundo. So one thing that I would like to ask you is that we've heard that the inner beauty is what has been propagated as the essence of life and growth since ages. And given your profession, which largely deals with the exterior, beautifying, the polishing, and, largely the exterior that we are concerned with, how do we arrive at a union of these two different views? Given your profession can take care of the latter very well, but that may not really provide long-lasting happiness. So how do you bring these two extremes together through your efforts? That's my question.
That's a wonderful question. Thank you. Now, I always believe everything goes with inner beauty, that is very important. Like inner beauty is something and it just comes out of a person. But what happens very often is they don't package themselves properly. I don't believe that, also the outside is the packaging actually. The inside is the main essence that there is. So people have this inner beauty and it comes out, but very often there are people around who can't see the inner beauty, what is inside the package. It is just like a packaging. So I always believe that this external has to be, it's called like giving them the air of beauty, you know, that air that is there. So they have to see that their hair is done in a proper way. Don't do it fancily. Don't put all the makeup, and that is not the thing. Just do it neatly, nicely, put a little this, so that you also look that package that you are wanting to be. Because like I've noticed, you know, very often, so many go for an interview, but you'll find the people that take the interview are these ones, and they may be later on, they are not so good at all. So I always believe that outer packaging is important. So we'll have to combine the inner with the outer. But if you just have your outer and there's no inner, you cannot really, I'm sorry, you cannot do anything about it. That cannot. Your inner, if you have your inner stuff, and that comes out of the eyes, believe it or not. Like I always look at the eye, you can see that in the eyes. So when that comes out, you can at least make, okay, we'll give you this hairstyle, not too fancy, but it has to go with the environment, this thing. We'll tell you, put a little lipstick or do a thing like this. You can dress like that. And nothing that is too flamboyant and for the job. So this is an important thing. So this personal kind of grooming, I say, creating that air about you. Personal grooming is a very important part also now, because we are just taking the essence of that person and just putting the outer coverings, packagings, and then they're helping them to present it. So this is what is there. But they have to have that inner beauty. That is the most important. That will shine through at every time.
So you are beautiful inside out. That's my compliment to you.
Thank you. That's the biggest compliment, honestly. Thank you.
Thank you.
It was wonderful. Wonderful.
I'll now go to Dr. Yamini, and then I think Ashok, and maybe one more if there is. Dr. Yamini.
Good afternoon, Dr. Kochhar.
Hi, Dr. Yamini.
Pleasure. Dr. Kochhar, you know, inspiring people like you in your profession, you define, invent, and reinvent the meaning of beauty for people. And when you do that, many people, you know, see their lives through that beauty. What would be your advice to the men and women to give more meaning to the word beauty for themselves in their lives?
That's a very interesting question. To give more meaning to themselves, to beauty. Believe it or not, beauty is something like that comes from inside. Huh? It comes from inside. So what is it that gives them the meaning of beauty? Is firstly, they just have to be normally their hygiene, the cleaning and everything. That is a normal, simple thing. But to define what is beauty and give beauty, what I feel is that kindness is there. You have to have the kindness, the happiness, the love, the excitement, that all has to come through, and you'll have to bring that through. That is what is real beauty that there is, you know. It is not the makeup and a pretty face and a hair like that. No, that doesn't make it. Because then you look at that and maybe you look inside, you see that it's absolutely cold and there's like a mask. Beauty, real beauty is not wearing a mask. That is the best thing. You are just going, it is you and you, authentic you. That is what it is. Your authentic you is your beauty. That's what I believe in, for a man and a woman, really.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Doctor. It was wonderful.
Yes. I'll go to the last question. I think there's one more, but I don't see that person. But I'll go to the last question, Dr. Ashok Laha, Professor Ashok Laha. He's an adjunct professor with us, but otherwise he's an entrepreneur from the US. And he's chairman and founder chairman of Intera IT and has an office here in India also. He's from the software field. But he's a close friend again, a very dear friend of mine. So Ashok, please go ahead.
Thanks, Aman. Mrs. Kochhar, thank you very much. This is the first time I'm hearing it, you know, and it's a wonderful thing, you know, wonderful learning experience for me.
Thank you.
Yeah, you are in a hospitality business, which is very interesting. You made one statement before, a few minutes ago, some time ago, that you tell your people that any customer comes there, you treat them as if they're bringing $1 million.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter what, do that, right? You have to treat all the customers with respect and with a smile in your face. Now, as Aman told me that, and I run a software company. I got a operation in US, and India is a subsidiary of that operation. Now, when I deal with the people in US, we smile, we say thank you. Everybody, we got some support staff, but everybody, senior people to junior people, they always treat them with respect.
Yeah.
I don't see that here. Here, like the people who are bringing a cup of coffee or something like that, our senior people often treat them as their housekeeper, maid, something like that. So how to bring that culture here, so that whenever somebody brings something, tell them thank you or treat them with respect. How to bring that culture in the company?
That is something. But how I bring that culture in the company, what I do is I get the people together and I keep on showing little movies to them, about how the thank you. And I always try to be role play. I normally role play. So I tell them, okay, you can go in, like just say you're going into an aircraft. I say, we make a person go into an aircraft and another person, this is a simple one I do, and another person is the hostess or something. So this person is slugging everything around and nobody is helping. The hostess is not helping, just letting them go through instead of putting it. And then we get the other one where the hostess is very nice and she helps them. And the same person and she's putting everything back. And then we ask them, how did you feel? How did you feel? Did you feel that, how did you feel the first time? The first time she said, I felt horrible. I felt like just, whacking it. Then we asked her, how did you feel the second time? She said, I felt really nice. So, and I really felt. So then we try to tell them that this is how the clients are going to feel. So when you bring a cup of coffee, when somebody is there need helping, you help. So same thing with the coffee. We'll bring somebody, we'll make them sit there. Just say the coffee. We make somebody bring the coffee and the person is just shouting at them and telling them things. Then we ask them to think, how did they feel? Because when you make a situation and make them feel that, how do they feel? Then they would. That is one. And the other one I always do with them is, myself, I started with that. And how would you like other people to treat you? Please treat yourself. How would you like to be treated? You have to treat other people. So when you're going to do anything, always think, would I like that? And if they say no, then it won't. So we have to educate. I think education is the thing, and giving these kind of things. That's what I feel. I can't see any other way. Otherwise, no other way there is.
Okay, I'll try some of them. See what happens.
Yeah. Sure. It is fun. It takes time, but it will work. Okay, that is right. Thank you. That was wonderful.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
And last question.
I like the question.
And the last question is from Mr. Rajiv Saxena, is a senior advocate at Delhi High Court. Again, very old acquaintance and friend and family member. Rajiv, please go ahead.
Oh, sure. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. I am an ardent fan of your aromatic therapy, honestly speaking. And
thank you.
A person who would walk out of a restaurant if the smell there doesn't suit me.
Oh.
To be honest with you. I would just like to compliment what you had just said about the inner self and the outer self.
Yeah.
I take it as if what your inner self is your hardware and the outer self is your software, the way you put it.
Okay. That's nice.
How so many apps you may upload or download, unless your hardware is strong enough, perhaps you will not be able to upload any good thing with your software or the apps that you may have downloaded. So to that effect, what you have said makes perfectly good sense. And to that is added, perhaps your aromas. I personally feel with the smell of a person, I could make out whether he is a good person inside or not. It's
Wow,
not
that's
how you carry yourself outside. I personally, honestly speaking, maybe just a bit of Dettol bath or or a camphor bath could do something, which many good perfumes and anything could not do, because that speaks of volumes of a person's own persona, personality. Am I wrong?
You're correct. Absolutely true. The smell of a person speaks volumes of what they are and their whole personality. Yeah.
Yes. Perhaps that is what I was just listening to what Dr. Ashok Lahar just asked you about. My personal observation in India is we use the word please, which is very small word to use, very little in our life. Very little in our life. In our homes, in our offices, we hardly use that word. And perhaps that is the only difference which is there. Or I can say that it's a cultural difference which has happened here or elsewhere in the world. Just that simple use of word please in your offices, in your home, or everywhere else is likely to change the entire scenario altogether.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You're so correct.
And one more thing, a small thing is your essential oils, though essential, are very expensive. How to make them inexpensive to use it in a day-to-day?
No. Now I'll tell you something. The essential oil, like if you get a small bottle, say 10 something, and it depends. Now you can take, there are different prices for different oils. If they're all priced at one expensive price, please don't take them. That means they're not absolutely pure. So because you'll find pine will be much less, maybe less than 100 for a 10 gram, and you'll find rose will be very expensive. So that is one. So you will take, and they'll have to be in a dark colored bottle, okay? They don't look very beautiful, but it's a dark bottle. The next thing that you have to do is, to make it last for a long time, you only need one drop. You don't need much. So you'll need, like, just say if you're having a shower, you'll need 2 drops in a towel or in a mug to put it over you. If you're putting it in a diffuser, you'll need 2 drops in a little water. So you'll just need to use drops, and you've got to mix it with another vegetable oil, like you can say almond oil, olive oil, any vegetable oil. Mix it with that. So 2 drops, take a teaspoon, you can put 1 drop in a 1 teaspoon. And you can use it in water. That's the other thing you can use it in. And you can use it in all your AC ducts, put it on a paper and then just put it with the duct.
That's good.
So that it will work. So you just need a very little bit. So even some of them, rose is very, very expensive. Jasmine, very expensive. But they have a 10% and all, which will give you the same effect, but it's a cheaper one. So you'll have to, so you just use one and you go in for another. Now for you, I would suggest an oil called like lavender, or I'd say neroli. Neroli is a really very nice. It suits your personality from what I think.
Yeah. Thank you.
That's orange.
I use mostly lavender. That's my favorite.
That's good. Very good.
Right. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Yeah. It was wonderful.
Yes. In fact, I had a last question, nothing to do with essence, but I thought I should ask, and then we'll close it for now. I've seen that, you're very particular. You talked about aroma, smell and everything, but I see you're very particular in the way you dress and you present yourself. So could you tell me this mystery of the colors as well? Well, you've already exploded the mystery of smell.
Colors are important, You'll have to see which color. Now, so it is another very sober, and you can say it is a color that's for this. Then we have actually you can, what color you like, and then just go for that color.
True.
Colors do have a big effect by working on these colors. Like red is for a root chakra to give you more energy, so that is there. You'll find orange is more for creativity, and you don't need to use bright. You can go a little, a light, a salmon color, a light color. Then you can go for yellow. yellow is a color that is more for creativity, for more emotions, in fact, and creativity. So you'll have to, then you have green, you have pink. So really, I feel, don't stop yourself from any color. Use it with a man, use it in a little scarf, or put it around you. But color is something that really is needed in this world. I really love it.
Sure.
Color is important. And they have different things. Thank you.
Sure. Thank you, Blossom. In fact, you know, I began with the same thought as what Poonam talked about, of the fact that what you do is exterior. But I personally, over the last 1 hour, have, you know, learned from the experience, the story of the model and the other stories which we explained. I have felt that actually the external only, you know, supports and builds in the internal even better. And then ultimately the internal, when it's better, actually comes out as an external beauty factor as well. So they are intertwined in each other. And what you do is actually pampering the inner self of a person, like that lady you saved the life of, was actually pampering the inner self. You're doing it from the exterior, but actually you're taking it on the mental level, as this Hollywood actress said, that we need to talk about the fact that we need to talk about the mental piece, the positivity, and that's where what you do externally, whether it's through aromas or from the skin factor, you actually build in the inner person, you smoothen and you massage the inner person, and that's what actually comes out as beauty when you look at externally as well. So this is something which I felt I learned in the last 1 hour at least, which I did not think of before. You know, thank you for that.
Thank you. And
Thank
you.
Really I'll just take a second more to introduce what we have in hand for today and tomorrow for people, and then we'll end this session for today.
Okay.
First, let's thank Blossom for taking out time, and sorry for the technical glitch, but it's great that we had you here. We had an extensive discussion and we overran on time, but then I think everyone benefited out of it. We have in store for you, my dear friends, today we have a technical session on how to do research by Dr. Yamini Agarwal in the afternoon at 4. Then we have another person, dynamic person like Blossom, addressing at this forum tomorrow, a very old friend of mine again, Shofna, who is a Kathak dancer as well. And she has taken up that profession after her career as an accounts audit officer in the government. And she was also, while she was doing that, she was taking that forward. She happens to be a student of one of the old gurus, which Blossom would also know, Guru Biju Maharaji. And then we have a doctor who is there. He's not going to talk about Corona, but life, but who has been with All Indies of Medical Sciences as the head of the department and is heading large number of organizations, Dr. Chandrakant Panda on the 11th, that's a Monday. In between, we have Professor Deepak Kochhar, Professor Deepak Vora, who will be addressing a forum on India and the secret weapon on Saturday afternoon. Thank you very much, Blossom, and thanks everybody to be with us. Keep safe. Jai Hind and Vande Mataram.
Thank you. Thank you, Aman. It was wonderful. Thank you so much. Really great. I loved it. Every moment of it.